Hey, it's Liberty, and today I'm going to be wrapping up all the books that I read in April and all the books that I'm excited to read in May. Now, I didn't have the best reading month in April, but I did finish books, plural, and there's some great books that I'm currently reading, which I'm excited to talk about too. If you like this, do give it a thumbs up, and I make videos all about books, history, personality, etc. So do check those out if you want. I'm going to get straight into it. So to start off my April wrap-up, my first book that I finished was Between Enemies. Now this book it's historical fiction, it's set in 1917 in the First World War, and we are in Italy. This book honestly felt like a lot happened and nothing happened at the same time. I really don't know how to describe it. The main character is Paolo, and he lives in his family home. He's essentially an aristocratic estate, small aristocratic estate, with his aunt, grandparents, and the servants that live in the house. The estate is requisitioned by Austrian forces who have occupied the area, and they have to deal with, various military commanders and soldiers and all sorts of people who are just around them all the time. This book was great at demonstrating the realities of war and occupation in a small village like that. World War I books tend to focus, on France, Germany, and the UK, and forget that a lot of other countries in Europe were massively affected by it too. The book starts with a group of girls in the village. One of the worst things that can happen to a woman or a person in general happens to them by the soldiers. I obviously don't want to say it, but this really rocks the community, and various members of the household and the village come up with these, revenge fantasies. There actually was a lot of plottish things brewing. They brewed. It's quite a slow burn book, which isn't something that I always gravitate towards. We've got different members of the family getting involved with intelligence services and, helping the allies. It felt like despite everything that happened during the book, it was very much like, the end of a historical fiction film where they have the words across the screen and it tells you what happens to the characters. The catharsis wasn't there for me. I didn't feel like it had a very strong ending. But then again, there are people who enjoy books like that. I think it's just not necessarily my thing. It was a nice read, and it's a standalone. If this time period or this particular location or anything, if that kind of thing interests you, then you will enjoy it. It's just probably not. I mean, I gave it 3 stars. It was well written. I just, for some reason didn't gel with me in the way that other books gel with me. The second book that I read in April was Better Than the Movies. Now, this is a YA novel, and the main character is Liz, and she is obsessed with rom-coms. It's her senior year, and her former childhood neighbourhood crush, Michael, moves back to town. Liz is a dreamer, she loves movie music, especially. She makes playlists for different situations, which is just really sweet and cute. And actually, I kind of do similar things, but aesthetics and vibes and stuff rather than specific moments. There are loads of references to classic rom-coms, like Bridget Jones, all of that kind of thing. And it's really cute. Each chapter has a quote from a rom-com to sort of start it off. She's decided that now she's going to have her rom-com moment. She's going to get the guy, and she enlists the help of her next-door neighbour, Wes, who has become, he's rediscovered his friendship with Michael. I think you can kind of sense where this is going, but, it's just so good and so well written that I just can't be mad at it. I enjoyed the writing immensely. The pacing was perfect, and the other plot lines that were going on, Liz's relationship with her family and her best friend, these plot lines were relatable and engaging, and certain things that I expected to happen didn't, which massively enjoyed. The chemistry in this book, boy, those two. I really love Liz as a character, and it's a real examination of, thinking about people that you've known. We all grow up and change, and you can't keep the same image of people in your head, I also like that none of the characters in this book were obsessed with college, like it's senior year. There are other things that happen in your life that's not just all about college. It's people aren't obsessed with going to the best college or whatever. All the characters have found their life path, and Liz is, she knows what she wants to do as a career, and she's picked the best college that will help her do that. Yeah, I highly recommend this book. It'll be all my favourites of this year for sure. I'm also definitely going to be checking out other books by this author. That's how much I enjoyed it. So unfortunately, I only read 2 books this month. I've been stressed and starting a new job and all of this stuff, life admin, things happen. So I'm going to move on to the TV and film section because I watched Anatomy of a Scandal this month and oh my God. So the essence of this is a Tory politician has a relationship with one of his staff members, and it comes out and she accuses him of rape, and you sort of follow his wife mostly through everything from when she finds out through the trial to the aftermath of the trial. And yeah, it's whole thing. Sienna Miller plays the wife. I can't remember any of their names. I think maybe someone's name is James, but I'm not sure. And Holly, and I don't know, I'm not sure. But the details, oh my God, you do not want to watch this if you have in any way been sexually assaulted or anything like that, because I haven't suffered with anything like that, and I felt so uncomfortable, and I could barely watch the trial sections because the questions and the way you really, really get to see how people who put forward these cases to try and bring people to justice get treated on the witness stand. It was truly harrowing. I mean, I don't know how anyone could actually do that, live through those questions and not just completely break down, because it was just really intense, the kind of stuff that was asked and, she had to answer. But the politician in question was also a member of a fictional Bullingdon club, which the Prime Minister was also in. So you sort of get that aspect of things too. Fun fact, we have 2 people who played Mr. Wickham in Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice adaptations. In this, we had both the 1995 Mr. Wickham and the 2005 Mr. Wickham, so that was just cute. They were clearly trying to do something with the cinematography, which worked in some aspects, but at the end of each episode, they just had this thing. I mean, it honestly just made me really dizzy, and it was kind of trippy, and I didn't really like it, but the programme overall was good, and the writing was really amazing, so I highly recommend it. So on to my music monthly wrap up. These are my most listened to songs in April. Red Velvet's Feel My Rhythm, I predicted right. It's going to be one of my favourite songs of the year. It's at the number 1 spot again. Still reigning supreme, those girls. Honestly, it's, amazing song. We got multiple songs from Suho's album in here. Right up my street. Just the soundscape is amazing. I mean, I'm definitely a indie pop rock kind of person, and it was just perfect. Also this month I've been reliving old G-Friend songs because I didn't really know much about them when they were fired from their company. So I'm feeling the injustice and rage now because I'm watching 3 of them compete as a new group, the 3 of them, and they're just so good, and the G-Friend songs are so good, and I just, Also, I went to my first concert in years at the end of April. It was an ATEEZ concert, which was amazing. They're incredible performers. They just also release really good music too. And it was just an amazing experience. Oh, I had such an amazing time. And they just blew me away, quite honestly. And expect to see them appear on the July monthly playlist because they're releasing new music in July, and that's going to be amazing, I'm sure. So on to my TBR for May. I'm reading a few books at the moment, and so I will talk about a couple of them. The first is Kim Ji-young, born 1982. This is a very successful attempt to draw attention to the plight of South Korean women and the sexism that they experience in everyday society. Kim Ji-young is the most common name for South Korean women born in the 1980s, and it's meant to be sort of representing a generation of women and, show common feelings and emotions for women who are born at this time. We follow Kim Ji-young as she sort of grows up as a daughter, as a sister, goes through school, through university, and, into the workplace and becoming a wife and a mother, just her whole life, and see how everyday sexism and discrimination affects her. This book not only presents the hardships of her, but we also see other women around her, and there are statistics and stuff thrown in. And it's so depressing that the author felt she had to do this in order that the book would not be dismissed as one woman's account. I'm about halfway through. She's in her 20s, in her first, in the workplace. and it's so well written, and some of it is just painfully globally universal, but I'm learning so much about the specific problems like within South Korea. And yeah, Generation X, I guess she is, yeah. The fact that men in South Korea get applauded for reading this book while women get demonized for reading this book just tells you everything you need to know. But yeah, this book is amazing and I highly recommend it. Just everyone worldwide. Yeah. I'm also reading Crime and Punishment. I just started this. I'm literally not that far in yet. But this is a classic novel by Dostoevsky, and it centers around our main character who commits a crime and spends the rest of the novel sort of wrestling with his conscience and trying to reconcile that he's done what he's done and hopefully come to some resolution. You know, it's good so far. Like I said, I'm not that far in, but we've already come across, like, it's weird. This character is telling us about himself and his life. I hope he comes in later because that means, you know, he's relevant. But at the same time, I really don't want him to come back in later because I kind of think I know what's going to happen. I think I know where he's going to come back into the story. And I really don't want him to. See, I mean, this shows how good this is already because I've already got really strong feelings about it. So it'll show up next month on my wrap up for sure. Finally, the last book I'm going to talk about is something I'm not currently reading, but I definitely want to read in May. And it is the Book of Living Secrets. We've got two main characters. We've got Adele and Connie, and they are best friends. They're really different, but what brings them together is the love of this gothic novel, Moira. This has been described as genre bending. So essentially, they get offered to sort of be transported into the world of their favourite book, and they take it. But when they actually get there, it's just completely not what they imagined, and it turns into like a horror story. Yeah, apparently this is great for fans of the Hazelwood, which I haven't personally read, but I do own, and I might read it now. This sounds right up my street, so I just can't wait to get into it. That is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. That was my April wrap-up and my May TBR. Yeah, I will do better next month, yeah. Do give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I make videos about books, history, personality, all sorts, so do check those out and subscribe if you want to. Happy reading!